dark suits, usually a variation of a character's suit or outfit that's been hit by a emo ray, essentially. It's used to represent a time in which the character of the story is enduring through moral hardships or is entering a more intense and dark side of their lives. It's been used in anything from Star Wars to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and yet I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually go in depth about how each of these appearances differ. And so I picked out a few instances where characters had this kind of story arc applied to them, and I want to kind of explain how, while all of these seem to be the same trope, they all vary in small but important ways. Alright, so first off, I want to talk about that was weird. Sporting some black and blue, this costume was given to Mark Grayson as just a gift, pretty much. Now, I want to note that at the time, the character wasn't currently going through any kind of hardships, and the suit itself is just normal clothing. There's nothing entirely special about it other than being superhero clothes. The reason he had a pretty significant costume change was actually deliberately done by the creator, Robert Kirkman, to be a stepping stone towards the character's darkest moments, by literally taking away some of the most brightest colors in the suit and leaving nothing but a cold and dark color palette behind. Again, in universe, at least in the comics, I haven't actually watched the new season of the show yet, Mark hadn't even asked for the suit. He just started wearing it after being given it. And after a while, I believe even the character himself correlated the suit to his darker side. Whilst it wasn't an alien symbiote that caused him to become emotionally unstable, it still represented a side of him he no longer wanted to be, as he committed very heinous and kind of messed up acts whilst wearing the suit. At least for his character. Other characters in the series have done much worse, but for his character, it was pretty wild. And so while this suit never really had an impactful origin, it slowly became known to both the character, readers, and viewers, depending on how you like your media cooked, to be his dark suit. As for the actual design though, I don't mind it. I wouldn't say they cooked with it, but I wouldn't say it tastes good either. You know, it's a middle ground kind of suit design. Now, of course, I have to mention the dark suit, the one that is most synonymous with the trope, Spider-Man's black suit.
Okay, before we get down to business, there's something I have to tell you. I'm fresh out of honey.
Obviously, the design, it's pretty simple, but it's incredibly iconic, as even the black and blue Invincible suit was inspired by this suit and its story. In current stories of the origin of the black suit, it's always been directly from some lab or some form of alien origin. It's always been something along those lines. But in its original debut in Secret Wars, it was simply an accident by Peter Parker that got him the suit, as he was looking for a machine to repair his clothes that other heroes had apparently used, and instead found the Venom symbiote, which wasn't even named that at the time, which then latched onto him. But in almost every telling of the story, the outcome is always the same. The suit itself causes Peter to lose his morals, he becomes emotionally unstable, easily ticked off, and petty, also apparently a dancer. The suit itself causes Peter's life to become dark, unknowingly making poor decisions as the suit inflicts its will upon him. And so his dark suit was the very product of his dark times. It wasn't him, it was the suit. It is a classic though, one that almost everyone should know about, and its design is peak in almost every adaptation. Although to be fair, it's pretty hard to mess that up. You just remove the colors, make the accents white, and the rest black. If you mess up a black suit design, then you did that intentionally. Moving on to a character whose fandom I chose not to really associate with, Izuku Midoriya. I probably butchered that a little bit, I'm pretty sure I pronounced it somewhat right. He's also known as Deku. Now, I love his dark suit design, which is why he's like, you know, front and center of the thumbnail. But why I love it so much isn't just for the design, but for how the character got it. If you can't tell, I'm trying to keep these stories somewhat spoiler free, but what I'll say is his costume originally looked like this. Again, it's not a bad design, but then how did he get this? You see, the character was put into a position in which he felt it was his duty to take down the many villains that had popped up in the local city all by himself. And so over time, as he continued to push himself to his limits, sacrificing his very well-being in order to consistently be on his feet as the city's protector, his suit began to deteriorate due to his many fights and being poorly kept. It represented his lack of self-care and self-destruction in this terrifying mess of mangled fabric and bent metal that hit a piercing gaze. Keep in mind, this is a kid, and honestly, he would scare me more than Batman if I saw him charge at me. Of course, Batman would probably be more lethal. Then again, this kid could probably decimate you if he touched you. And of course, due to this physical and mental push, one could argue that this is his darkest moment, where he was willing to push himself to the edge in which he could either fall from or outright snap. And so his suit represents the slow decline of the character as they allowed themselves to essentially fall apart for others. His very costume showing his change, a physical change. It isn't something to represent a dark time, and it isn't something that inflicts the darkness upon the character. It's a product of the character's very choice to lose a part of themselves for others. Still dark, but it was their own choice.
Nothing is nobler than self-sacrifice.
That's why I love this dark suit so much, and the very trope as an entirety in a whole. So I hope this video has brought you a little more insight into the dark suit trope, and maybe you love the dark suit trope just a little bit more like I do. If you know of any of them that I haven't put in this video, please let me know in the comments, because I did have a few other characters on the list for this video, but it would go for a little while longer than I would have wanted if I had included them. Probably a lot longer. Other than that, it's plug time. If you like my content, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell icon as I upload weekly. Maybe a few extras throughout the week if I want to talk about something quickly. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, as it does help push it into the algorithm. And as always, not sponsored. I wonder what I would wear if I had a dark suit. Would it just be like a blue shirt?